All right, ready? You been recording this whole time?
Yeah.
God damn it. She does that shit all the time. Okay. This is stressful, dude. This is not
It's not your natural.
It's not my natural thing, so we'll get it figured out. All right.
3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to the first official episode of Tattoos and Whiskey with the Grouch. I'm here with Ernie Cason, who is also a podcaster who has a podcast named Married Into Crazy. So today we're going to be doing an interview with Ernie, kind of discussing his podcast and getting into his family life that helped create this podcast. We will be drinking a whiskey today. Today's whiskey of choice is going to be Penelope. It is a special reserve bourbon that just came out, so we will talk about some notes and some flavors that we get out of it, but I think we're just going to get into it and start the tattoo.
Looking forward to it. Let's go.
All right, let's go.
This is a great layout. I mean, I've seen the pictures online. I've seen everything on. No, it's my first time actually coming in.
This is even more special.
Add some names in there.
So, well, we're not going to add any names. What we are going to do, though, is just the fruit.
All right, Ernie, come sit down now.
Okay. That's good placement.
Well, we start this tattoo. Why don't you, kind of just tell everybody who you are.
Yeah, cool. Name's Ernie Cason, and I live in Galt. But my wife and I, we run a business called Married Into Crazy. We have a podcast and a platform for coaching couples. We've got several certifications. Extreme Execution with Dr. Eric Thomas, but then also I've got 3 different DISC certifications for doing DISC assessments, helping people out with communication, and then we've done level 1, level 2 Gottman couples therapy training as well. So we use all that to really focus on marriages and helping people grow their relationships.
That's awesome. So, so everybody kind of works on their marriage, it's kind of like a never ending thing because you grow.
Yeah.
And seems like you kind of have an idea of how your guys' family, works. But maybe explain to me why are you guys, why did you decide to, start the podcast, Married Into Crazy and put your guys' self out there to, kind of start this program that you guys have?
So Married Into Crazy has a lot of meaning behind it. So when we got married 29 years ago, before we ever actually said I do, I ended up getting stabbed through my heart. My wife's ex-boyfriend forced his way into her home, attacked her. I was there, and I ended up getting stabbed completely through my heart. So I had 2 open heart surgeries. So our whole relationship started off crazy. That happened 5 days after we got engaged.
Yes.
And so as a result of that, there was just so many different things that we had to go through. Is this the right person for me? What's going on? All of that. And we made it through that and ultimately got to the point where we did say I do. We got married. And 4 years into our marriage, she asked for a divorce. And a lot of that was because I wasn't really standing up and being the man that I needed to be. There was a lot of growing up I needed to do. Nothing like infidelity, stuff like that. It was more just because I was trying to please my mom, trying to please my wife, all of that. So it was a really crazy start. So we used to joke around that, for all the men that married into her family, that they married into crazy. And it was just a standing joke that we had that went on for a while. But what we ultimately realized is that when we were going through our challenges, we needed a couple that we could actually confide in and talk to. And so we decided that, why not become that couple that we needed when we were going through things?
Nice. So, me and you, you've been my longtime client when I had my private studio. So I heard the story, getting Married Into Crazy and how it started. is there anything that like else within the family that kind of like, kind of pushed you into this direction? You have stories with your kids and anything that reminds you that was a big key into the start.
Well, before I even go there, so crazy is interesting. So it's actually an acronym. It stands for being compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding. Because no matter what we do in our relationships, there's always room for us to be more compassionate. And when we talk about being real, it's not the traditional, keeping it real thing. It's really about being based in reality. That we have a tendency to focus on not just the situation that we're in, but we play these scenarios out in our heads. Like, when she says this, I'm going to say that, and I've got the perfect comeback. And we play these things up in our head, but we tell people to stay based in the reality of it. And then, of course, remaining accountable. And then the Z stands for zealous, which is, you and I were talking about it earlier. Zealous is really a synonym for being enthusiastic. We all say I do and start things, we're very enthusiastic about it, but life has a way of beating that out of us, and we lose that enthusiasm, that zeal for our relationships. And the last one is yielding. And the Y is probably the most important to me when it comes to being yielding, because life has a way of bulldozing you, and you have to find ways to yield and find a new path or make a new path. So when you're talking about family, what we realize is that while our marriage is definitely crazy, and we try and use that acronym, but life in itself has a tendency to throw you curveballs. So we have 3 kids, and we lost our eldest, our son, who would have been 31 in 2025, actually last month. He was murdered 2 years ago, and it was something that we had never anticipated. And so this whole crazy thing, we still had to find ways, even in our grief, to still use that acronym of being compassionate to each other, because even though it's our son,
Yes.
but my wife's grief is different from my grief. And there were plenty of times she told me to quit trying to manage her grief. And I had to learn that I had to be compassionate towards her for what she was going through, as much as she had to be compassionate about what I was going through with, losing my only son.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing for a guy is when our wife is going through something, we want to fix it. We're most guys, we use our hands to fix things. And when it comes to, a wife's, emotions and stuff, something we can't fix. Not half the time we can't fix it. We have to be there for them. Like you said, be compassionate. So that's definitely, nobody wants to ever have to, bury their kids. So I could see how that plays a big part in anything you guys do. I mean, it's amazing that you guys are able to share that story. It really is.
Yeah, it's interesting, and everybody dealt with it in their own way. Like my daughters, they each had their own specific relationship with their brother. And so they mourn differently. And then we all grow differently as well. So even after that, so we ended up raising our grandson. So now we have our youngest was 21, and now we have a 6-year-old in the house. And we became his guardians, and now we're in the process of adopting him. And so there's so our life just remains crazy. There's so much that's happening in our home to where we just don't have time to exhale, it seems.
I see you guys are, the podcast has been really, really successful. And what's your plans with that? How far are you guys going to take it?
It's a great question. We've got over 300 episodes of the podcast, and we've done it since August of 2018 every week. And just this year, we decided that we're going to start going bi-weekly. And it's therapeutic for us because in our podcast, what we do, it's not just us talking. A lot of times we'll bring subject matter experts. Like we've had a sexologist, we've had sex experts, we've had ministers, we've had, we bring other couples to talk about their unique stories and how they've gone through things. And because I think that every single marriage, every relationship is very unique. Yeah. It's like it has its own DNA, right? So it's got its own signature. So no two relationships are the same. So it's not like, oh, well, because we do it this way, this is the only way it can be done. What we like to do is make sure that we give people food for thought, introduce them to a variety of different couples, different backgrounds. As a matter of fact, we're starting a interfaith series. We just interviewed a couple where one spouse was Muslim and the other one was Christian. And then this upcoming week, we're interviewing a couple that one was Catholic and the other is Jewish. And so we're looking for different ways to just talk about, well, how do you make it work? Because we all have these different things that we pour into it. But the goal for the podcast is just to continue to have this content out there that's just going to help people get exposure to different ideas, different ways to find success in their own marriage.
Yeah, I also see that you guys have a, what would you call it?
Oh, our marriage conference?
Your marriage conference. That's coming up, right? Can you tell me about that and what that kind of focuses on?
Yeah, sure. So this will be our second marriage conference. We've gone to a bunch, and it's not that we said, oh, well, we can do it better. Or we can do. It's just that it's been on my heart that we wanted to create a venue. That the vision is that someday I would love to see like Golden One filled with married couples that are there to focus on the relationships. We bring in all these different speakers, with different aspects of how to, create success in specific nuances within the relationship. So our conference is called the Married into Crazy Winter Ball and Marriage Conference. This year it's going to be February 6th and 7th. So February 6th is a Friday, and on the Friday we will have this year a DJ and a soul line stepper. She's going to come in and walk people through line dancing, and then we have a banquet. We have people eating. The theme is denim, diamonds, and dancing. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then on Saturday, we have a variety of speakers that are going to be there talking about different aspects of marriage. We actually have a sexologist coming up from Southern California to talk about different ways to keep the sex, growing and being fun. And our keynote speaker is a 10-time Grammy Award-winning artist, Joel Kibble. He's a part of this legendary group called Take Six. They're a gospel group. They've been around for quite some time. And he was one of the main singers. They're all main singers. But he's coming through because he also does what's called divorce recovery coaching. And he's been in a high-profile celebrity divorce, and he's moved on, and he's got a strong family. But what he teaches people to do or talk about is how to make sure you don't bring old stuff into your new relationship. So it doesn't matter about divorce. It just means that no matter what you are, if you're newly married, we all go through things, and we have a tendency to carry luggage with us, right? Some luggage we want to bring, the good stuff we want to bring with us, the bad stuff we need to leave behind, but we all have a tendency to bring it all. And that's just one aspect of it. But that's what's going to be happening. It's always going to be the weekend prior to Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of marriage week.
Awesome. That's a huge week in the tattoo industry too, Valentine's Day. So.
Is it really?
Yeah, so that's interesting. Me and my wife just were talking about it, and that might be something we're going to try to get to. I like to think we have a strong marriage foundation, and ours is. No road's easy, obviously, but it takes a lot of work, and when you actually could do the work and then share your experience, I think it really does help out a lot of people. So I do commend you guys for doing that.
Well, you just made a comment, and I think it's important to say that this isn't a conference for people whose marriages are in distress or having challenges. Yeah. It's just like, when you have your car, I don't care what kind of car you have. If you love your vehicle, you don't just drive it till the wheels fall off. You make sure you take it in for maintenance. You wash it, you take care of it, you clean it. Same thing. This isn't just about fixing things. It's just about making sure that you're getting into an environment with other couples that are just as serious about their relationship. Yeah. But also it's about what? It's nice to know we're not the only ones going through this, whatever it may be.
Yeah. No, I like that. I really do like that. We kind of talked about the podcast. This is Tattoos and Whiskey, so let's talk about this tattoo a little bit. So it looks like we decided on getting a tree of life. Now, at the end, they're going to see the tattoo, but maybe explain what the idea was and how we decided to kind of create this and.
Okay. So when we started talking about this, I was trying to think, okay, what would be meaningful to actually having to add. And this arm in particular is like my tree of life. Or I should say my arm of life. Everything here is about significance when it comes to my family.
Yes.
And this tree is, I love the design because the way you set this up is the trunk is made up of like 3 intertwining, not branches, but the trunk is made up of like a weave of 3 strands, if you will. And 3 strands are very strong. And the 3 represents our children, our son and our 2 daughters. And as they're weaving, they lead up into the tree itself that bears fruit. And you're going to be adding 3 fruit to signify my 3 grandchildren and leaving room. If our daughters decide to have children, then we'll have space for them as well. But at the very base is a root source, if you will, that has my name and my wife's name, Rana, but also additional roots to signify our ancestors, our grandparents, our parents, from whence we came. So it's showing that we have roots, and that though it goes through us and it goes to our children, that bond is there through that 3 braided strand that makes up the trunk and then leads to the fruit that continues on. Yeah. So that's kind of a unique variation on the tree of life. So I really love your vision for it.
Thank you. I mean, it was definitely, you gave me some good, usually when I ask people about the tattoo they're looking for, I try to get the idea and maybe try to give something a little bit different that would add to it. And knowing this was focused around you and your kids and your ancestry, interweaving the tree trunk, I just thought it was like, hey, this is seriously where we start, and then we kind of move up with our kids, and then that kind of spreads out. Me and my wife, Erin, we always talk about, we come from, I would say, a little bit of broken homes, so we are the base of our tree right now. So knowing that we're doing almost the same thing with our 3 kids and trying to create a future where the tree's gonna grow and bear the same fruits, it's I love the idea, and it was awesome that I was able to come up with the design for you.
I think it's cool because granted, you're the artist, so you see a lot of different designs. I've seen a lot of different versions or variations of a tree of life. I've never seen anything like this that you're able to create, so I'm excited about it. When I showed my wife, she was like, yeah, this is perfect. This fits us exactly.
I'm glad she loved it. I've tattooed you for quite some time. I mean, it's like you said, this whole arm has some significance, as well as the other arm. That's the one that we joked about, where we never liked seeing you when it came to that arm, because it was always someone passing in your family. Right. And I mean, it's understandable, people pass, but it's also just, it's a little bit harder to have a tattoo, and but some people, it does bring comfort, when you're able to kind of show your respects to somebody. So this one, I love this idea, and I've got to meet your kids. I've tattooed your daughters and
my wife. You've tattooed our entire family.
Yes, I've tattooed everyone in your family, and it's been great to be part of your guys' experience. That's for sure. And just seeing your kids grow too. I mean, our daughters played basketball together, and just seeing, the kids grow. It's kind of like, it's almost kind of puts a smile on my face, you know what I mean? Just seeing, you get to see people grow. I mean, just like people tell me all the time about Raina, but it's great, you know what I mean? It's a great experience to kind of be a part of people's lives and seeing the good they're doing.
No, I agree. And I love seeing Raina and just what you've done with Incal Social, just because, like you said, our kids played together in basketball, and then to watch Raina be enterprising. And I remember she would go knocking on doors of these businesses throughout Galt just to do art, like window art.
Yeah.
I've seen her at functions where she's been painting faces for the little kids, so yeah, I know what you mean. It kind of makes you smile inside as well.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that it's cool. You brought up the other arm. That one of the things that we do with Married into Crazy is try and find balance in our relationships. And these tattoos, everything that you've done for me, pretty much everything on me is you, right? That you've done everything, and you've either did cover-ups or on the old ones.
Yeah.
Actually, have. And one arm signifies that. So I've got a guardian angel on this arm on a knee.
Yes.
And the feathers that cascade down my arm are basically significant members of my family that have had an impact on me that have passed away. And so I come in, unfortunately, occasionally to end up getting another feather added. I still have one more feather to add. And this arm is the arm of life. You've done the phoenix rising, which signifies that it's holding a heart, where I talked about how I was stabbed through my heart and had to have those 2 open heart surgeries. You did a rendition of a phoenix rising. And then later on, once my grandchildren were born, you were able to put baby phoenixes, at the base of that, rising up towards the moon and the sun, which was also my wife and I, with 3 little stars. So everything has significance. And you've been a part of every one of them.
Yeah, it's been great. I really, enjoy the time we spent together because, I mean, like I said, you were like one of my first choices for this whiskey venture, because every time we come in, I mean, it is what Ink House Social is. We're there and we're having discussions about life and kids and our wives and just growing. And it's always been interesting. So I always wanted to be able to share that with people. So thank you for being a part of this. I really, really appreciate it.
I'm glad you said that. I was like, I think he chose me because he knows I drink a lot of whiskey. But no, I appreciate it. No, if I didn't trust you, if I didn't love Ink House Social, I would have never brought my wife to you for her first tattoo, or recommended my daughters when they wanted to actually get work done, because you don't want them just going to any place.
Yeah. Well, since you brought up the whiskey drinking, I mean, this is Whiskeys and Tattoo. I always like to share with people, like, my experience started roughly during COVID. I kind of just bunkered down with some of my neighbors, and we decided to try a bottle of whiskey. Our first bottle of whiskey was Eagle Rare.
Okay.
And then from there, I just kind of started enjoying it, and that was my story. How did you get into drinking whiskey?
It's a great question. I want to say it was at a business function, and I got into a conversation with a guy, and I saw him drink, because any whiskey I've ever had was always, mostly like Jack and Coke or something like that, right? It was mixed. But I saw this guy actually drinking on the rocks, and I was like, how do you do that? And he started talking to me about how the ice opens up the flavor. You don't just immediately start drinking it, how you let it sit there, let the water open it up a little bit, and it'll actually change the flavor of it. And I was like, I have no idea. So he bought me a glass, and he's like, yeah, just try it out. He's like, take a quick sip. I did, and he's like, okay, now let's just let it sit for a while on the ice. And we were just talking about business and life and what have you. And then when I tried it again, I was like, oh, it's a little bit sweeter. And you can start to taste some of the notes, like the caramel and different things. And so that was my first entry. And then after a while, I was like, okay, you know what? I like this. And it was something I never thought I would have liked.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? You kind of just start, tasting different flavors. I mean, there's some whiskeys that you drink, with ice, or some that you just drink with neat.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's those that, you kind of just, I almost consider it like certain whiskeys you could pair with your dinner and stuff like that, just like you would with wine. So I know today we're drinking Penelope. That's one of my favorite whiskeys. But as far as the Penelope branch of whiskeys that they have available, there's different flavors, different notes on different ones. And I know the Rio one has a real sweet taste that, I love having after a good dinner. And it just, it's almost kind of like having dessert without having the dessert. So,
How did you come across Penelope?
that's a very good question. We talked about this, me and my wife, on Father's Day one year. She gifted me a membership to Flaviar, which is a whiskey
I've seen that online.
Yeah, it's an online whiskey club, and every quarter you get some free bottles of whiskey and some little tasters and stuff like that, and you get to pick and choose your whiskeys, and those for the tasters you could pick an American, or you could pick a bourbon, or you could pick like anything you could think, Irish whiskeys, and they'll send you tasters. Well, the one bottle they send you a full bottle, and they gave you options for the full bottle, and I didn't know nothing, so I saw the Penelope and it had a big P on it. And, my name's Pablo.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get it, see what it tastes like. You just that's what the website's kind of for, to kind of, they give you a little description of the tattoo, what the whiskey is. And it sounded interesting. The bottle is beautiful. It kind of looks like a wine bottle. So it kind of just, something I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. And as soon as I got it, I loved it. And then I started venturing to their other ones. They have some rosés, they have the Architect, they have private selections, and I kind of just started drinking them, and I love it. It's every whiskey has their story. The whiskey is named after the creator's daughter. And it's kind of funny because one of my clients, he came in and he was like, "Oh, you got Penelope?" He's like, "That's my daughter's name, and I'm collecting all the Penelope bottles because of the whiskey."
Cool.
I'm just like, "Oh, that's kind of cool, because that's exactly why the whiskey was created and named after his daughter." So it's every whiskey has their story, just kind of like we were talking earlier about the Uncle Nearest whiskey. But yeah, it's great. You get to learn a little bit something about the whiskeys too every time you drink one. There's always a nice story behind it, so it's great.
Well, that's cool. I wonder if they're the ones that there was a company probably about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I did the 25 days of Christmas, but it was whiskey.
Yeah.
You had the Advent calendar.
Okay.
But they did an advent calendar with all these different whiskeys.
I know I wanted to do that, but I think the only one I've seen so far is like $450 or something like that.
Oh no, I didn't pay
But that one's from I think Flaviar, because I think they have some that they have now at Costco.
Oh, interesting.
But I'm not 100% sure. It'd be nice to get one though, maybe next year.
I think this is a great concept. Yeah. It seems like more and more people are getting into whiskey and bourbons.
Yeah, during COVID was a big part of that push. I think a lot of people. It just seemed like I said, we started off with that Elijah Craig. I bought that bottle of Elijah Craig for $23.99 here at Dry Creek. And then after COVID, that thing got up to like $200 a bottle. Yeah, and it's gone down in value a little bit. They sit roughly around $69 in stores. You can find them in some places for, $49 if you could find them. But yeah, it got real expensive real fast. I mean, especially if it's a bottle everybody's looking for. So
True.
Sorry, did you find Uncle Nearest?
Yeah, $78.
What?
Oh, are you kidding
One
me?
bottle left.
See, I told you it was gonna go up.
Wow.
Push. Back at
You
the
gotta start working on some sponsorships, man.
I'm gonna, you know what? If it gets going pretty good, I'm gonna try to see if Dry Creek wants to get me some bottles. We talked about it a little bit earlier, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we talked about Penelope. We talked about how I discovered Penelope. We talked about kind of it was a gift from my wife with Flaviar, where you could pick your whiskeys, and I picked this one because of the big P on it. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna try it.
It was real sophisticated.
Yeah, and I got just the plain whiskey bourbon bottle to test, and I liked it. So I started venturing into some of the newer ones. Right now, Rio is my favorite bottle. It's considered a unicorn, so like it's hard to find, and if you find it, it's a little bit more expensive than the other bottles.
Called Rio?
Yeah, well, it's a Penelope, but it says Rio on the bottom.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
that it's got like a really good sweet taste. So a little fruity, if you ask me. So this is Penelope, the State Collection. It's a private select. It's a 9-year reserve bottle. So we're gonna open this up. I haven't had it yet.
Okay.
So we'll both be able to try this together and see what it tastes like.
I'm
So
excited.
you tell me how big of a pour you want, because I like to go big.
I'll match you,
I'm like,
I'm not going to be a wuss. I mean, whatever you do, I'm going to do.
all right. So let's see. That's a good one.
Okay.
Well, definitely. So I always tell people when you try whiskey, because you always get those people who are like, I didn't like the way it tastes. I'm like, well, sometimes you have to have a couple sips before you start to get those flavors.
Okay. So what's your process? Do you like, like wine? You smell it? You like do all that?
Well, first I want to say I'm not like the whiskey guy, but I love whiskey. So I'm not going to be like, hey, let's, no,
No, but you're the guy that Penelope's going to love because you're not this elitist whiskey person. You're the common guy that's like drinking whiskey.
So, what I like, I always smell it. I swirl, smell it, try to see if I could get any of the aromas out of it. So I'm more of a cinnamon type of guy, so I kind of like that little like tingle, or what some people call a burn when they're drinking their whiskey. So I try to see if I could get that right away. Sometimes you don't get it. Right now I'm smelling more like a fruity, like a fruit to it. A little bit like a caramel.
And maybe it's subliminal, but when you said cinnamon, I feel like that's what I smell.
Yeah. I don't know. I like it. So
Okay.
cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for, coming and allowing me to do this tattoo. I love the idea, like I said, and it was just kind of great to kind of catch up with you and, talk about what you have going on. And I know it was your first time in our tattoo studio, or the new one. You've always been to my little private studio, but yeah, it was great catching up, and cheers.
Likewise, cheers, dude. And I appreciate being here. It's actually smooth.
I noticed that right when it hit my tongue, I was like, there's nothing going on. But the more it goes down, I'm starting to taste that cinnamon like I was talking about. It kind of got a little spicy for a minute. And like now it's sweet, like on my tongue.
It's like a lingering sweetness. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can feel that. What's interesting though is I didn't. Some whiskeys just burn from the outright. As soon as you get it, but this is nice and smooth.
Yeah. So this is definitely, I like I said, Penelope is always something I'm going to go to and try. I've tried the Rosé, I've tried the Architect, I've tried now this one, the original. Anytime they have a bottle and it's something I want to try, I actually go out and I'm just like, hey, I'm going to buy it. So this one, I think it retails for $69.99. Sometimes it gets a little bit more expensive. I think I ended up paying $99 for this one. But like I said, Penelope is worth it.
Where would I pick it up at?
So this bottle, you could find Penelope at Total Wine, Bevmo, and then the local stores here in Galt. Dry Creek has it. Dry Creek has a lot of like the more options.
Okay.
So they have all the bourbons, any whiskey you want to try. But like I said, if it's something that's new, it's going to be a little bit more expensive here. But that's the name of the game. So we talked about that too. Kind of gets expensive.
Yeah, then it does. But you know what? It's a good hobby to have.
Yes. So before we sign out, I just want to make sure you plug in your podcast, talk about Married into Crazy, where they can find your podcast, and then your event that's going on as well.
Appreciate it. Married into Crazy. It's in all the major venues. It's on YouTube, as well as iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So anywhere that anybody that listens to podcasts will be able to find Married into Crazy with Snicks and Levy. Anywhere. Go ahead, if you like it, love it, leave a comment, subscribe, and share. And our event's coming up February 6th and 7th. It's going to be in Sacramento at the Light Christian Church. And it's the Married into Crazy Winter Ball Marriage Conference. We're looking to have a great time. You don't have to be married. You just have to be in a long-term committed relationship or married. And it's not about being broken. It's just about coming out there to get some resources, tools, and just to strengthen. It's like getting an oil change. Just come in and do the maintenance.
Yes, and I like the idea. Me and my wife are actually talking about going. I mean, we like dancing, and it sounds like there's
gonna be fun.
There's gonna be some dancing going on, so we'll definitely do that. Before we sign off, this is what they do: like and comment. That's what they do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like and comment, maybe even subscribe. But also, if you guys have any recommendations for whiskeys you want to see, where I'm open to it, because I have my brands that I kind of drink and want to offer people to drink.
Yeah.
But if there's something you guys drink yourselves and you want us to take a sip of it and give our opinion, I'm more than happy to do that as well. So that's it for Tattoos and Whiskeys with the Grouch. Thank you.
Say like, subscribe, but then also anybody that loves tattoos or loves whiskey or loves tattoos and whiskey, send it to your friends.
That too.